experience 4 tides every 24 hours, 2 high tides and 2 low tides. This means that there's 6 hours between every high and low tide. The reason for this is because the moon exerts a gravitational force on Earth, as can be seen in the picture. There is a difference in force felt by opposite sides of Earth because of the change in distance between side A and the moon and side B and the moon. The change in distance affects the force due to the universal gravitational law, F equals g m1 m2 over d squared. This equation, when broken down, explains that the force, F, is indirectly proportional to the distance squared, d squared. This means that even the slightest change in distance can affect the force by a lot. The difference in force is important in creating the tidal bulges because it places a force on the water to pull it away from Earth. In simpler terms, the force is greater on the side of Earth that is closest to the moon, in this case, side A. This difference in force causes the bulge because side B has to make up for the amount of force on side A that it doesn't have. In order to do this, it pulls back in the opposite direction to keep equal to side A. Here is an example. In this example, all numbers are made up for simple math. We can see in the diagram that side B is 5 newtons and side A is 25 newtons. These numbers represent the amount of force that the moon is applying to that side of Earth. If the center of the Earth is 15 newtons, we can calculate the actual amount of force acting upon each side. When we do the calculations for side A, we get 10 newtons. But when we calculate for side B, we get negative 10 newtons. This number is negative because the force is pulling in the opposite direction. A spring tide occurs when the moon is between the Earth and Sun, or when it is on the opposite side of the Sun compared to Earth. The moon must either be full or new in order for a spring tide to take place. A neap tide occurs when the moon is beneath or above the Earth when the Earth is next to the Sun, as seen in the diagram. The moon must be a half moon in order for a neap tide to take place. Let's recap. There are 4 tides every 24 hours, 2 high tides and 2 low tides. This means that there are 6 hours between each high and low tide. The universal gravitational law is F equals g m1 times m2 over d squared. The difference between forces on opposite sides of Earth is what causes the tidal bulge. A spring tide is when the moon is between the Sun and Earth or on the opposite side of Earth compared to the Sun. It must be a full or new moon. A neap tide is when the moon is above or below the Earth in comparison to the Sun. It must be a half moon.